This is a presentation of NorthEast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. If it's 6 a.m., it's got to be Keith Engel and start it up right here on NorthEast Streaming Sports. And I'm here with my co-host today, Mac McGrath. Yes. Good to have you with us, Mac. And, of course, Jamie Paggs, the Philly sports guy. How are you guys doing today?
Good morning.
Good. We've made it to another Friday.
Yeah, the week went by fast again.
The days go slow and the months go fast, according to Luke Bryan. But I kind of agree with that myself.
I'd say it sounds very poetic.
It does, doesn't it? Until you get really old, and then it seems very real. So. But, what are you going to do? It's better than the alternative, so we like to keep on moving. We got a lot to talk about today. Major League Baseball, we got some big NFL news. I know we got a big boxing match coming up this weekend to chat about. Yep. Got a little bit of college football news. WNBA playoffs in full blast. Maybe a little NHL, and we'll see where else we go today as we cover the world of sports for you guys. So let's jump head first in. I'm not going to talk about the Yankees right away. We don't like to start with a really depressing score. So let's get started with some other scores around baseball. A lot of runs scored yesterday, it seemed. The Rockies get hammered by the Cardinals. Pujols hits a grand slam. The Cardinals win 13-0. Adam Wainwright, we were talking about, old guys before this. I think Adam Wainwright went to school with Jack Hirsch as well, Mac. I'm not sure, but Adam Wainwright gets his 9th win of the season. For the Cardinals yesterday, and they continue to lead that National League Central. Yeah, the Rangers, after cleaning house entirely of their manager, and yesterday or the day before, their general manager, longtime general manager John Daniels, they win 10-3 over the really hapless A's. Two teams going nowhere. This would probably be one of our games that you had to be paid to go to yesterday. So we won't spend a lot of time there. The Astros, which is important to the Yankee fans, their scores as they now lead the Yankees by 3.5 games for the best record in the American League. They scored 21 runs yesterday over the White Sox, who I had just given some credit for finally finding some consistency and momentum after winning 5 in a row, and now they've lost a couple in a row in bad fashion here. Bergman hits 2 home runs, 2 doubles, has 6 RBIs. Garcia gets his 10th win. That's a big win for the Astros yesterday. That's 21 runs you don't see every day. The Brewers win 5-3 over the Dodgers. A name you don't hear much anymore, Andrew McCutchen, who was one of the big stars in the league for a while. He is still playing, if you didn't know, up there in Milwaukee. It's 2 home runs yesterday. His 19th multi-home run game of his career. Corbin Burns, who's been a little bit of a disappointment in the wins category, I guess, for the Brewers, one of the best pitchers in baseball, but he gets the win yesterday. The Brewers try to keep pace with the Cardinals in that Central Division of the National League. The Orioles, those scrappy Orioles that we like to talk about, they did lose yesterday 3-2 to the Cubs, so they fall back in the wild card race just a bit. The Diamondbacks beat the Giants, who now have cooled off after a little hot run of their own. Zach Gallen gets his 9th win very quietly for the Diamondbacks. Big name bandied about at the trade deadline. The Diamondbacks held on to him, and he's come through since then for sure with a couple of really great outings the last time out. He struck out a career high 12 in this game last night. The Pirates cool off the Red Sox, who had been playing some pretty good baseball, 8-2 yesterday. I still don't think the Red Sox are in this race. I don't believe it. I think it's a mirage. I don't think they're that good. They made a mistake in not making moves at the deadline, and we'll see. Yankees, since we have to talk about them, their newest acquisition, Frankie Montas, just gets hammered again. 3rd straight time. He's been 14 innings, I believe, 18 hits, 14 runs, and 3 starts. I don't know what happens to great pitchers come here and they start to struggle. Maybe it's the adjustment to New York City. I know he had some issues with his father-in-law passing away early on in his his career here with the Yankees, but he gets hammered again yesterday. Yankees lose this game 9-2. So whatever momentum the Yankees built with the big win the night before.
Can you tell me how the chants are going? Is it fire Aaron or
Actually, the chants are the Fire Boone's chants were alive and well the last couple of nights actually, and Aaron Boone made a point to say, "I just stand up taller in the dugout."
Yeah,
So,
I saw that story.
What's he gonna say? Yeah, right. They should fire me. I can't say too much. I'm trying to get my Yankee card back next year, so I'm trying not to say too much bad about the Yankees, but they're making it hard on me here. So anyway, the Yankees continue to struggle. And it's amazing. A team that's 74 and 46, it's 73 and 46, excuse me, at this point, and I'm talking about how bad they are. But
since you've already gone past the Dodgers and Uncle Larry hitting two home runs in this game, your Joey Gallo went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a walk.
Get a walk. Good for him.
He did have a walk.
Good for him.
He dropped, which is really interesting when you drop your average, to 166. He was at 168. Now he's at 166.
He was screaming towards that 170 mark there for a while. So
for a minute,
he cools off.
Still batting above 250 for the Dodgers, though.
I still think his best contribution to that team is the DNPs. Did not play. I think that's his best contribution to the team. Anyway, did I miss the Dodger game, by the way?
I know you went over it. That was when Uncle Larry hit 2 home runs.
Oh, yeah. Right. Very good call. I didn't give you a chance to jump in there. Sorry. The Rays, who continue to play pretty good baseball here in the American League East, they win 7-1 yesterday. Watch out for the Rays. They're starting to get hot at the right time again. Come playoff time, they'll be a tough out. And I will say they will definitely be there. The Braves beat the Mets again. Max Fried comes back from concussion protocol and leads the Braves' win over DeGrom. And the Mets again score a bunch of runs for DeGrom in this game, 2 runs. That's quite an output for his starts. But the Mets, that lead has shrunk. I'll have to take a look at it in a second because I didn't take a look where they're at. I'm guessing it's back to 3.5 if I had to guess. And the Nationals beat the Padres. All you Padre bandwagon jumpers, this team is not going to win anything. They'll be lucky to get a wild card. They got to have pitching. Juan Soto and a bunch of bats are not going to help them. And then without Fernando Tatis coming back, obviously that adds another.
Hey, well, they did hold a Double-A team to only 3 runs.
They did, which is impressive. When you think about it. Let's take a quick look through the standings since we're at the end of the week and there weren't a lot of games to chat about. So in the division races, the Yankees continue to lead the Rays by 9, the Blue Jays 9, and the Orioles fall to 11.5 back. The Guardians hanging on to a close one game lead over the Twins. This is going to go back and forth. The Twins have gotten a little bit hotter, and the Guardians have cooled off a little bit. And the White Sox, somehow, every time I look, they're 2.5 games back. It doesn't matter whether they win 5 in a row, they lose 5 in a row. They're always 2.5 games behind, it seems. But they're on the peripheral of this. And I know, Mac, you haven't been here, but I pretty much daily I comment. This is a team that if they can't get to the playoffs and if they can't do some damage, they're going to break this whole thing up. Tony La Russa is going to be, driving an Uber.
I found it interesting that they had a team meeting and then go out and lose 21-5.
Yeah. Well, I think the team meeting, I'm not positive. I think the team meeting coincided with them winning their 4 in a row, I thought, but I could be wrong. Who knows? I don't see this working. I mean, they've had nearly 120 games to get this together, and they're not going to get together for the last 40 games and make a run here. I just don't see it. The Astros certainly running a big lead over the Mariners, but the Mariners are in good shape, I think, with the wild card situation. In the National League, I mentioned the Mets lead down to 3.5 games after they had stretched it to 7 here just a week or so ago. So the Braves have fought back nicely, going 9-1 in their last 10 to stay in this race. And the Phillies still back there at 10, but again, certainly a big part of the the wild card race there. The Marlins have just fallen off the face of the earth in the second half here. The Cardinals have stretched their lead now in the Central to 3 over the Brewers, who have gone from, pretty much playoff lock to out of the playoffs right now since the trade deadline. How this team has still picked up a hitter. They still got a couple weeks with the waiver deadline, the roster freeze deadline, right? You got to get guys on your roster before August 31st to be able to be eligible for the playoffs. There's still some guys out there. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Nelson Cruz or somebody else end up in Milwaukee before this is done here next week or in the next 10 days or so. And out west, obviously, the Dodgers just rolling away with everything. 17 game lead. Best record in baseball by 5 games now over the Mets. And the Dodgers are going to be tough. All the Dodger haters out there, I don't know why they think this team is terrible, because they are not. They're a very good team. And with some significant pitching injuries they've had to overcome. The wild card races, as I said, the American League continues to be quite the jumble with the Mariners, the Rays, and the Blue Jays in at the moment. The Twins would be next back at a 1.5 out of the last spot. The Orioles at 2.5, the White Sox at 3, and the Red Sox, if you want to think they're still alive, only 5 games behind in the wild card. I happen to think they're done. And in the National League, you got the Braves, the Phillies, and the Padres holding on to that last spot with just a game in hand over the Brewers, and the Giants 5.5 back. This looks like a 4-team race in the National League for 3 spots, I would say. The American League much more wide open, but we're headed for some exciting baseball as we close in on September. Maybe not in some of the divisions are going to be very good. The National League East, both Centrals are going to be good races, and both these wild card races could be very, very interesting as we head towards September. Any comments on any of the games or the standings right now, guys, before I look at a little bit of MLB news? Feel free to jump in there.
Not about the standings. I just know that the Phillies made a small little move yesterday.
Well, jump in there.
They claim Bradley Zimmer from the Blue Jays off of waivers in the outfield, specifically because Marsh is going to be hurt. And Zimmer is a very serviceable defensive outfielder, although he can't seem to hit his hands together.
Well, that would be a problem. For a minute, I thought you were going to say Don Zimmer, they claimed. I thought that might be a little bit of a reach.
Yeah, I don't know that he could cover as much space in the outfield.
he could cover space standing still more than he could moving around, probably.
That's exactly correct. But yeah, that was a small little move specifically because Brandon Marsh could be out for a few minutes.
Well, yeah, that's not good because he's played pretty well and helped them with that their defensive issues in that outfield. So big loss for the Phillies. So hopefully he's back for them. Hopefully he's back sooner than later. Some other news around baseball. Fernando Tatis does plan to meet with the club's general manager and the team before the end of the week. He still has not addressed anybody. Jackson Profer, one of his closest friends on the team, says he's been speaking with him every day. And he's just devastated how badly this haircut has gone for Fernando Tatis. So if you want to believe the haircut story, he's devastated about the fact that he got this haircut and ended up suspended for 80 days. These guys have got to come up with a team of PR guys that come up with better excuses when they get caught red-handed. I just don't understand. But maybe I'm just too old school.
Hey, one mistake and everybody wants to crucify you.
Right. I did see. I think that might be the only. We talked about every other story I've got here. We kind of covered yesterday. I did finally find the story about the LA Dodger announcer Pags that you had yesterday.
That's
going down the slide. So they did put a sign up. I heard yesterday. No TV. No baseball announcers allowed down the slide. The Bernie Brewer slide. I think that's what they call it. So
yeah, only Bernie should go down the slide.
What else we got? We got anything else in the world of baseball? It was kind of quiet, other than the games yesterday and that big pickup for the Phillies getting Don Zimmer to fill in for Marsh. With that, while we're on baseball, Pags, why don't we take a look at the Little League World Series results yesterday.
So I should be a little bit more on this than I am, but I was watching a little bit of the games yesterday. There was a couple of good games going on. There was the Great Lakes of the Midwest was a very close game in general. And now I'm just trying to get to. Sorry, I got to get them all up here. I know that back and forth. I was watching it specifically, and here we are. So the Asia Pacific region beat Europe 2-0. The Italians could not hold serve there, I guess. The Great Lakes and the Midwest region, the game that I was talking about, they went back and forth. It was the Great Lakes region went up by a good amount, and Midwest was coming back, and it wound up being a really close game, wound up being 8-7. Mexico beats Puerto Rico 6-1. And the Southwest Region 8 against Pennsylvania 3 in the Mid-Atlantic region. Pennsylvania was up 3-0 in this game and wound up losing 8-3. So, and that was all for. Yeah, they only have 4 games a day.
Yeah. 10 days.
Did I ever tell you guys that Windsor Locks in 1969 went to the World Series, and they won it? So.
Yeah, we've had some pretty successful teams from the Northeast here over the years. Tom's River in New Jersey, and there's another one I can't think of the name right now, but there's been some successful. And Tom's River's they got eliminated in the regional final by Massapequa. And I mentioned this to Pags. Interesting enough, Todd Frazier, who used to play with the Mets, with the Yankees, with the Reds, he's covering the series for ESPN, and he was part of that Tom's River team that won the Little League World Series back in 2000 and I don't know what it was, 2002, let's say. But kind of an interesting story. It would have been nice to see them kind of get to the Williamsport and Todd Frazier be part of that. One thing I forgot, let me circle back to the MLB a little bit. I wanted to look at the weekend schedule. Your Phillies have a big series at home against the New York Mets. And I'm sure that there's an interesting welcome waiting for Keith Hernandez this weekend in Philadelphia. Or is he making the trip? Do we even know?
I don't know. I think that he may be, just saying, hey, I have to take some personal days.
You think he's afraid to face the wrath of the Philly fans after this little?
I don't care. Actually, he's not important to me. So if I happen to see him, I am going to, just give him the old type of thing because I'm not allowed to. I'm going to keep it above the belt. That's it. That's all I need to do, and just maybe let everybody know, hey, this is that Keith Hernandez guy, because he could probably walk in a crowd and nobody recognize him. At least in Philly.
Maybe in Philly, probably, yes. I'm Philly, but not in New York or St. Louis. Probably not even Pittsburgh, where they had the drug trials in 1979. But that's a different story. We don't want to get.
But more importantly, the fact that we are going up against the Mets in a 4-game series, and we are going to miss both DeGrom and Scherzer.
Big move
in a 4-game series was beneficial for the Phillies. They need to take 3 of 4 here. The Mets have really had our number this year.
Is there a doubleheader this week? Saturday? Day night, I take it, not a real doubleheader.
Well, yeah, because one's a makeup game. So the tickets were from April. And they decided to do it here. So it's a 1:00, 7:15 start.
Cool. Someday we'll get real doubleheaders back again. We did a little bit during COVID. That was kind of the one good thing there. The Yankees will continue their series with Toronto as they try to get right. Not enough said. I'll wait till Sunday and Mac can just yank my card for life.
Yeah, we'll do that. Trust me.
Chicago with a big series against Cleveland this weekend. The White Sox and the Guardians going at it. Houston goes to Atlanta. Be an interesting interleague series. What else was interesting? Not so much. Washington will go to San Diego. Maybe San Diego could beat the AA team, as he said. And the Marlins go to Los Angeles. So the Dodgers will probably continue to roll, and Joey Gallo will probably have a good weekend.
So let's ask, number 690 was hit in grand fashion by Albert Pujols yesterday.
Pujols, yes, grand slam, good call.
And obviously he's got 4 more home runs to tie A-Rod. 694, I think is what it is.
Sounds right. That sounds about right. 690 something, yeah.
So first off, does he get to tie A-Rod? Do they pitch to Pujols specifically to allow him to try to tie this? And specifically because of where the Cardinals are, that's why that question even. Secondly, if by chance he doesn't do it, does he not retire and come back for another year?
You and I talked about this a little the other day. Well, I'll let you go too, Mac, because I think he may come back next year for a shot at 700. That's what I think. Go ahead, Mac.
Yeah, he could. He's still in great physical shape if you look at him. And best first baseman maybe ever. So I expect him to be back.
Possibly. I mean, he's had a pretty good year too today as well, playing part-time. He's played very, very well, I think. So I'm just looking for A-Rod's numbers just so we can verify that home run total. We're talking about non-steroid home runs or just home runs? Sorry, just bad thing. You'd think the base raw reference would give me a simple total on his home runs. Why don't they have it? 696. Okay. 696.
So 6 home runs. It makes me wonder if the Cardinals were not in a playoff run. I think he'd have it without a problem. That you'll see him probably have one of the best Septembers that anybody's ever had because everybody would pitch to him and he would wind up hitting 12 home runs and breaking into 700. Yeah. I don't, because I feel that they are in a playoff run, they're not going to get that. He's not going to get it like that.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's going to be close. Hitting 6 home runs in a month isn't really difficult, but he's got 6 weeks to do it. I hope he does. At this point, that also being said, if he gets to 700, I think that absolutely he would retire. Him not getting to 700 and the fact that he did not get the farewell tour that everybody was thinking, that maybe it's worth it for him to come back. A la, hey, I'm Tom Brady and I retire. No, I don't.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's actually playing. He's not even in camp. That's another story for the football segment, I guess. But,
and listen, sometimes you have to reaffirm your love for the woman that you're married to.
Yes.
I even lost my Tom Brady card in the last week. So that's how bad things have been going for me.
Hey,
who took that?
Anyway, what? I lost it because I ripped Tom Brady for not being in training camp more than 4 days, for crying out loud. It's ridiculous.
What was the line I used? I think I used on somebody that that he had to go meet the new boyfriend.
Yeah.
Maybe so. Anyway,
listen, the show that never got started was getting deep into some of that. We know that Giselle has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's not named Tom.
Do we know that for real? Is this a TMZ story or,
TMZ won't take it.
Oh, they won't.
They don't want to get sued. that would definitely cause a lawsuit.
Yes.
Right.
I was going to report it because if they sue me, that means I'm doing something right.
Right. I would think you would welcome a lawsuit at this point, wouldn't you, Pegs? I mean, you get your name out there, but there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Hey, listen, if I got attached in the same sentence, hey, Tom Brady sues the Philly sports guy for reports of his wife's infidelity, that is an amazing headline.
Your career would take off in a week.
Yes, probably faster. Everybody'd be wondering, who the hell is the Philly sports guy, and how can I represent him? I'd probably be getting lots of pro bono work for that.
Well, Mac's over here going, this, it's like Jack Hirsch is here. We went from talking about Albert Pujols' going for 7 home runs to Tom Brady's wife's infidelity. How do we get here?
Cover the whole scope. 5 minutes.
Listen, back to Albert Pujols. I am a little shocked. We talked about this a couple times that a player of his greatness. Yeah, I can't think of too many guys who haven't gotten that send off around the league when they say I'm retiring. If you don't say you're retiring, you don't get it. Obviously, if you just retire after the year, but
I think they just don't like him, Keith. I don't
get why.
I don't know. Maybe it's because he messed around with the media and the fans too much. I don't know.
Maybe it's the fact that he left St. Louis the first time for Los Angeles for the money. I don't know what it is. I don't get it.
Mm-mm.
Well, I don't think it's any of that. I think he just doesn't move the needle. That's the problem. It's just like, he was a good player on the Cardinals. He was an okay player at the Angels. You know what I mean?
He was a great player on the Cardinals the first 10 years of his career.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. He was a good player, but he didn't really move the needle. You knew that he was there, but he wasn't like superstar status. In terms of personality. So his personality didn't really kind of come through with that. So he could have been as great a player as he wanted to be, but it didn't matter because he wasn't out there in the spotlight. He wasn't like the playboy like Jeter or the cachet of some of these other guys. And because of that, there's no drama that goes along with him. He's not in the forethought of everybody's mind.
Yeah, I never saw him out at the parks with the kids building ball fields, and I never saw him, getting the press involved when he did something like that. So, he just – I don't think he knows how to market himself, or he has no peer guy that knows, So I'm not sure what's wrong with that dude. I'm really not.
Well, he's done pretty well for himself for not knowing how to market himself. He's made a boatload of money. That's for sure.
That's true. That's
right.
True.
At least $250,000, or probably $250 million.
And I have to imagine that you'll start to see him. I wouldn't be surprised if like Telemundo or some Hispanic station where he gets to call games. He'd be like the national guy for the Hispanic channels.
Yeah. Why not?
Calling baseball games or being the color commentary. I think that would work really well for him, obviously, and especially because the Hispanic community is such a big part of Major League Baseball. That would be a really good fit for him.
Yeah, those leagues down there, they get people there from everywhere to go watch them.
Well, it'll be interesting to see whether you're right. If they were in this race, he'd be playing every day in September, which isn't going to be the case now. So it'd be interesting to see what happens and what he does next year. So why don't we take, since we got to segue into some football news, why don't we take a quick break? We'll come back with, we'll let you guys lead us in the NFL conversation, and then we'll get to some other news as well after this. We'll be right back.
Sounds great.
The Hometown Foundation is excited to bring back the Dream Ride experience, August 26th to the 28th at Connecticut's Farmington Polo Club. Join us in celebrating the accomplishments of our Dream Riders while enjoying live music, a car and motorcycle show, family fun zone, pet adoptions, canine demonstrations, the Fireman's Chili Cook-Off, and much, much more. Get your tickets today.
See right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this.
Oh, I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, get us any.
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
All right, and we're back for the second half of today's show on Start It Up. I'm joined by Mac McGrath and Jamie Paggs, the Philly sports guy. Mac, any comments? I know you're going to be at the Dream Ride experience this month. Anything you want to add there? Unfortunately, I know Pags and myself can't make it due to my social calendar. I didn't check because my social secretary was not keeping me up to speed. But
Right.
anything you want to add about the event coming up here very shortly now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great benefit. They have broadcasters from almost every network there. They got the Patriot cheerleaders are there, and some of these cars are unbelievable, guys. I mean, they come in from all over the world. The Hell's Angels will be there, just to let you know that, and it's just an event for everybody, the whole family. So get out there, come support dreamride.org. It's an incredible cancer research platform for kids and adults alike. So it's a place that if you got a chance to go, I know a lot of people are busy, but if you get a chance to go there, come out to the Polo Grounds and check it out. It's incredible.
Excellent. We'll look for it, and maybe are you going to try to do some broadcasts from there?
Mac? Yeah,
Okay.
I'm bringing down the laptop. We're going to do it. So
good. We'll look forward to that. And my apologies for not being able to get there. My plane was to go on that Saturday, and my wife has booked my entire summer, so I haven't had a free weekend, it seems, since about June.
Right.
So anyway, she's probably listening to me behind the curtain here. Anyway, why don't we jump to the NFL? And I'll let you guys, Pags and Mac, you guys can run here, and I'll comment where needed.
Mac, why don't you take the lead, because there's a really big story.
Okay. From what I got in the preseason schedule, you've got a lot of games coming up. You got the Minnesota Vikings at the Oakland Raiders, Chicago at Seattle, Carolina at New England, Keith, New Orleans at Green Bay, Houston at LA, Denver at Buffalo. Last week, you had the Oakland Raiders beating the Jags 27-11. Big Blue taking out the Pats 23-21. Baltimore beating Tennessee 23-10. Atlanta over Detroit 27-23. Cleveland, the Browns beat the Jags 24-13. Jets 24-21 over Cards. San Francisco beat Green Bay. They have something over Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sure what it is, but he gets freaked out every time he plays him. And, I mean, do you think Green Bay is really in the hunt this year? They got a tough division over this year, and a lot of tough games coming up against the other teams too. So, this is going to be quite a year in football.
I have predicted that the turmoil that Aaron Rodgers seems to love to bring around him lately will cause the Packers to have a mediocre year, and the Vikings will win that division.
Yeah. Detroit's in it too. Jacksons are going 11-6.
I know. I got a couple people saying the same thing. They'll get it.
Yeah, they're not going 11-6, but that's a good thought. It's good to have hopes and dreams in Detroit. I love the fans of Detroit. I used to live in Detroit for a little while, and I'm not a big fan of Hockey Town. I'm not a big fan of the Red Wings over there, but since I was living in Detroit when they beat the Flyers in '97, and and in that choking situation, as Terry Murray so eloquently put, and then unceremoniously got fired the game the day after they got swept. But
quite an organization you have there, Bags. I mean, they're on top of everything. Yes.
Exactly.
Speaking of organizations in a quagmire, Pags, there's a big story in Cleveland, I think, this week too, isn't there?
They finally gave the ruling. We were talking about this. I'm like, hey, what is going to happen? Are they going to talk about this? They're going to wait till the season begins. They come down and they give an 11-game suspension here and a $5 million fine. And the big news with this isn't necessarily the 11-game suspension, but it was part of the ruling that the original judge gave with the 6-game suspension. And that was what gave the framework for them to do this in terms of being able to get it up higher. She gave enough room for the NFL to go ahead and appeal this. And by one of the lines that she said is that in an egregious circumstance, And egregious obviously is one of those words that is ambiguous. Like you can take it as you wish. The suspensions could possibly double. So with the NFL going with 11 games, using this first precedent for 11 games, they have the ability, as per the original judge, to double that for any upcoming transgressions, we'll say. So they have now set somewhat of a precedent to suspend up to and over a year because of this ruling, which was what the NFL wanted. They didn't necessarily, they understood kind of some of the ramifications with doing this with Watson, and that everybody wants to get this behind them. So they could not give him the full year purposely. Just so happens that it made sense that, okay, we're going to go all the way up to the bye week. So that point, he's going to miss 11 weeks. Week 11, he's going to be able to come back. He's going to have 2 weeks to prepare. And of course, the first team he's going to go up against, the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
Very interesting storyline there for sure. Do we think, guys, that this is only 11 games and the NFL? I mean, obviously, you talked about the guidelines that the first arbiter had laid out, Pegs, but do we think the NFL didn't go go harder for more, a year or more, because they just want to get this behind them and they feel this has got to get behind us before the season starts?
No, I think that they understand how precedence works, and that this was, you would have had a bigger fight, with everybody included, if you tried to get a year.
Well, that's kind of my point, right? They didn't want to fight now because they want this to go away for now.
They wanted the precedence to be set. That was what needed to have happen. They never had a precedence like this before, and Roger Goodell was like, hey, listen, we want Watson to play in this league, but to be able to do so, you have to be able, he's got to prove that he's able to deserve this second chance. And I thought Roger Goodell was actually very specifically eloquent. And not eloquent is a bad word to use there, because Roger Goodell is not an eloquent guy, but I thought he was very specific with his words, saying, hey, listen, we want, we're all for him getting better, but he's got to get better. We cannot have this happen anymore. And I felt that this was a good saving face of the NFL, and allows them to now go up to and over a year if something like this was to occur again. Yeah. And because it's not the massages that they're worried about. Obviously that this is, massages seem to come up every once in a while in the NFL, as Robert Kraft knows about. That being said, I feel that it's really the thought process on, we now have the ability to suspend somebody up to 22 games if we want to. And ultimately it's because it's not the massages. It's if somebody gets smacked or if somebody gets hit, that's what's going to happen. Now they set more precedents for that.
Yeah. Well, it's behind us for now, unless more allegations come up during these 11 weeks. That might put a whole new shine on this. Who knows? So we'll see.
Especially since they did have the massage convention right down the street from the stadium in Cleveland. It was literally that was amazing to me. I'm like, really? This is what happened?
Who scheduled that? I hope that was scheduled well ahead of shot.
I'm sure it was. It was just a very unique coincidence. But how hysterical is that they're having it at the convention center in Cleveland? And that's literally, I know how far it is because I had to walk it a couple of times when I was at the draft. So
that is awesome. Actually, that is wonderful. Like, I did not know that story, and I'm glad that I do now, because you couldn't make that up. That's awesome.
No, that is art imitating life.
Oh, absolutely. What else we got for news in the NFL today, guys? I see a couple stories. See what you
Yeah,
guys.
I mean, it's, they talked about Locke. How Locke is struggling, or no, Gino was struggling with
Oh,
Locke
there's a shot.
not being there, and the Bears look a little bit better against the team. This is the who's going to be the worst team in the league exhibition game yesterday, and the Bears won that.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think because of that, they now have the second pick in the draft, because now they have the right. These exhibition games do fall for something when it comes to draft picks. Actually,
Yeah.
not at all, but
I try to tell Jack that all the time, and we get in a big argument. The exhibition games are a chance for the coach to put the schemes and see if the players can run the schemes, and if the vets and the rookies are somewhat together. I mean, this is a very important coaching tool. I don't care what anybody says.
Yes,
Well,
this will come up on the
I agree.
Are You Serious show this morning because my co-host, the Mad New Yorker, insists that training camp in general is unnecessary in the NFL, and I've never heard anything as crazy in my entire life.
No.
So
I agree.
He just says anything, Keith.
We'll get him to say more today because he's going to have to come up with some logical reasoning, which is unlikely, but we'll see.
Right.
So Tom Brady has no timetable to return. That he is going to come back after camp. I think when the moment camp is over, that's when he's going to be back. He's going to be like, "Hey, here I am, guys."
Yeah.
And I wonder if this wasn't done specifically because this is like a pout on, "Hey, I got caught. I wanted to try to own own the team in Miami, and now I can't."
Well, the party line with the organization is this was agreed upon before training camp. I think this is hypocritical. I might have vlogged last week. I've gone off a couple times. The Tom Brady lovers are all over me. I've always, you guys have seen me. I stick up for Tom Brady as much as anybody. This is the first time I've ever. What's that, Mac?
Very devout fan. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
It's the first time ever I've ripped him because this is hypocritical. In his entire career, if a guy in the Patriots or even the Buccaneers in the last couple of years had decided to take 2 or 3 weeks off of training camp to have a better work-life balance, he would have ripped them to shreds and said they're not focused, they aren't team first, and he would have been all over these guys. And now he's doing the same thing, and you cannot tell me, because guys are telling me Tom Brady knows what he needs to do to get focused. It's not about Tom Brady. It's about the rest of the team, that they're busting their butts for 3 weeks without him there, and them not all being on the same page when the season starts. There's a new coach. There's a lot of new players on that team that he needs to get on the same page with, and he needs to be there with him going through these wars, and he's not.
Yeah.
And I think it's wrong.
It's
get him.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll come up again today too.
Yeah, I don't care.
Carlos is defending Tom Brady, and I'm bashing him. How the world is backwards? I don't get it.
A little bit. And they were a little spirited at practice yesterday at Buccaneers practice, so maybe they're feeling some of the pressure of Tom not being there. As Leonard Fournette decided to throw a punch, and their combined practice, he threw a punch at Simmons, and it ended with a full skirmish, as you will. Vrabel said he got in the middle of it, and Bowles said that it was unfortunate that the last play turned into a skirmish after good work against them in the past 2 days. So what it is, maybe they are feeling some of the heat of Tom Brady not being there.
Well, yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, this is the most popular player in football history. So if there's something wrong going there between him and the coaching staff, and it just screws everything up for everyone there.
It's a bad look, very bad look.
I actually had Tampa Bay slated to go to the NFC Championship game against the Eagles. I am wondering now if they're going to be able to put it all together, especially with the new coach. That's the problem. I know that he was there, and that he, even Dad is kind of looking from above, that he didn't step away. He didn't just step down from coaching and is now in the executive office, kind of helping them along over there. But I don't know. Maybe the new coach makes a big difference.
We'll find out. We'll find out for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. I did notice that the Jets, Robert Saleh said that if Wilson's ready to play week 1, he would be the starting quarterback. Still debatable whether he will recover from his what did I say? They trimmed his meniscus. He didn't have full surgery, just had a trim job. I hope he doesn't.
Yeah, they shaved it. They shaved it up some. They were more concerned about the bruise than they were about the meniscus.
Yeah. And Kenny Pickett Kelly. What's his name? Kenny. Is it Kenny Pickett?
Midnight hour, Keith. We're in the midnight hour right now.
What's this guy's name? Pickett's going to get more some varsity action versus the Jags this week, according to the Pittsburgh coach too. So we'll see what happens there. And the Giants had a non-football. Jones had a non-football neck procedure, so maybe he had some I don't know. He might have had maybe he had a brain transplant or something that we don't know about.
I thought he was getting elongated. He liked Gannon's neck and just said, you know what, I want to get it longer.
Yeah, he needs to go to the massage parlor too, guys. So,
he may need that as well.
Yeah.
As we move on, Mac, I believe we got a big boxing match this weekend. Do we not?
Yeah, we got. I think it's not Canelo. I think it's Ruiz.
No. Usyk. No? It's Usyk Joshua.
Yes.
The heavyweight championship of the world on the line.
Yes,
and I only know this because I've spent the last couple of days with Jack.
Yes, there you go. Usyk is a better technician. Joshua's got a little bit more power, a little more bigger than he is. So it's going to be, power versus, I guess, speed. We'll see how that breaks down.
Yeah,
you've been with Jack, so I'm sure you have a little bit of insight here to add.
So the insight that I have is obviously Usyk won the first one and he holds the belts. This is a rematch as part of the contract from the last fight. So Joshua is coming back here. Joshua is definitely the stronger of the two opponents. However, if it's going to go long, if this fight does go past 7 or 8 rounds, that this is where Usyk is going to be able to on. There was some controversy on the fact that Joshua was in trouble in the 12th in the last fight, and they rang the bell a little early. It became a non-story when Usyk won via points rather than Joshua. Had Joshua won that, it probably would have been much more controversial. Yep. So this is going to be a comeback. Obviously, Joshua has got to take it more to Usyk in the beginning rounds, and in the process of that may expend too much because he just doesn't have the stamina that Usyk does have. It is likely that the winner of this fight, although they would be really considered the unanimous, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury still owns the belt for the WBO, and although he has retired, the WBO has decided not to accept his retirement, waiting the outcome of this fight.
They cannot accept his retirement. Is that a thing? I can say you can't retire. I'm going to make you fight.
Yeah, everybody's doing it now. Tom Brady says, "Hey, I'm retired." No, I'm not.
That's the truth.
We can't get Tom Brady out of this show today for crying out loud.
Yeah, he's got his hands all over this. Yes. Everybody's retiring. No, they ain't.
So this is a pay-per-view event, I assume.
It is not a pay-per-view. You can get it on the Zone. You would have to get the subscription for the Zone, which is instead of paying for the pay-per-view, you pay for the year subscription, which I think is somewhere around $100 and $120. And it would be during the middle of the day because it's happening in Dubai, and this fight. I think that it's supposed to go off somewhere around 5:30 at night, which would be 11:30 over there.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I could actually stay up for that. I have to look into it.
You could be watching by the fire with a stogie and a brandy.
I could. You know what? My wife just bought me a great bottle of really good brandy for my birthday, so that could be a possibility.
What kind was it? Because I've been learning about different brandies that are hard to get right now.
Oh gosh, the name is just.
It's not Buffalo Stance, is it?
No, it's not. My brother-in-law turned me onto it, and next show I'll bring it on the. I'll bring it on the show, and maybe we'll get a little money out of the company. Who knows? So
there you go. Whatever works.
Yes.
What else we got here today? Listen, big news in college football yesterday, as the Big Ten TV deal is finally finalized. I guess that's a bit redundant, but Fox, CBS, and NBC, as were rumored, are the partners in this new deal. 7 years, $7 billion. That's $1 billion a year if you can't do the math. The highest other contract is $300 million for the SEC with ESPN and ABC. So as we talk about, why does USC and UCLA and why Notre Dame will end up in the Big Ten? There's your answer right there. $1 billion a year.
There was one thing specific that I saw with that when I was reading about that deal, that the Big Ten has allotted, I think it's $100 million per year or something like that for, or $100 million for 16 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they going to be getting over 16 teams?
No, they could. They could. We don't know that, but they could. I would be shocked if they didn't at some point. Yes.
So that was the one thing that I found out very interesting, is that if they do wind up over 16 teams, any of these new teams that join the conference are going to be left out of this TV deal.
Well,
signing, which is in 29.
I can tell you one team that won't be left out of the TV deal, and that'll be Notre Dame. They're not coming there without about $75 million a year, probably.
Well, my thought is that they're getting $100 million, and they're part of the 16. Although I don't know how many are in the Big Ten right now.
14.
So I got to imagine USC is going to be in that mix too.
No, it'll be
Who's
16.
not going to get it? Illinois.
It'll be 16 when UCLA and USC get there. Yes.
But Notre Dame is not considered in that mix right now.
Not right now, no. And they have asked NBC. They get $25 million a year right now from NBC for their home games only, and they've asked them for $75 million, which is very unlikely to happen. So, I think you see I think by 2026 at the latest, you see Notre Dame in the Big Ten.
I see them. Yeah, I see them more in the Big Ten than I do in the SEC. I can't see them going to the
I
SEC.
do too. Yeah, Notre Dame is geographically, academically, they fit with the Big Ten much better than they fit with the SEC. More changes to come. The big story here is there's definitely more to come as far as realignment with both the SEC and the Big Ten, and then wherever else everybody falls, it doesn't fit the bill there. So, lots of.
$1 billion a year, though. $1 billion a year. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, we got 8 days till games start. I can't wait because I'm tired of talking about realignment and NIL, and it'll be fun to get some games being played there.
Where do we think Clemson's going to end up? Are they going to go?
I think Clemson will be in the SEC myself.
Yeah, they don't have a choice. They're going to have to go over there.
Yeah. In the ACC, the big players are going to be Clemson and Miami. I see Miami in the Big Ten. Big Ten's going from west to east. They've pretty much got the country covered. Now they want to go
north to south.
And then Miami, similar to Notre Dame, fits the league from an academic standpoint and things like that, because they're all pretty good academic schools.
Yeah, certain leagues don't have that qualification. Notre Dame does. And how about the military schools? Where are they going?
They're probably going to end up, where I've said this for a while. The American Football Conference, where Cincinnati's leaving, Houston's leaving next year. I thought that I would like to see all these guys in one conference myself. Miami, Army, Navy, Air Force. It would be pretty cool. I thought I've said this for a while, and the American Football Conference would be the place that I see them fitting the best.
Yeah,
is that where Utah is and stuff like that too? And
no, that would be Memphis, and again, that's where Cincinnati and Houston and UCF play now. They're leaving. Navy's in that conference now, but who knows? I mean, there's going to be a lot once the things really hit the fan again with realignment with the Big Ten and the SEC. There's going to be a lot of dominoes that fall, with some of these smaller, even the Power Fives, obviously, Pac-10 and the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and the ACC, it's going to be a race to see which one of them survive. And I don't think the ACC does myself.
A lot of people,
the Pac-12. They don't survive either.
I think Pac-12 and the ACC will be gone, and Big 12 will find a way to survive, picking off the pieces of what's left of those two conferences, plus some other realignment. That's what I see. But they'll still never get to the level the SEC and the Big Ten is going to be for sure.
Just combine it all and call it the Pac Big.
Yeah, you might
put them all together, combine all three, and that's.
A lot of people don't realize that Navy and Notre Dame, when they did their games, a lot of players played on both teams, and that's how they worked it back then because there was no other way to do it. So when Navy visited Notre Dame, their players played for Notre Dame. When Notre Dame, of course, visited Navy, same thing happened there. So it's been going on for generations, guys.
Yeah. And listen, I will always root for the service academies, always. And I know Pags, sir.
I only have 4 words here: Go Navy, beat Army.
I know. I root for them all, though. And I will say, Army, Navy's had a really good history. Even recently, they've been down with Coach Ken. I can't say his last name. Yeah. But they've had. I think they're going to start to rebound here the next few years. He's too good a coach for them to stay down. And Army's coach Jeff Moncton is one of the most underrated coaches in the country. This guy does a great job up there at West Point, or down there at West Point. From my
they all run that triple option. That's what I used to run in high school, and it's very effective. It's great against almost any defense that they can throw at you. So if you love football and you love watching how schemes take place and what they do against a certain look. It's an unbelievable offensive strategy.
It's fun to watch. It evens the playing field for sure.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up here today, I want to get to the WNBA playoff scores last night. The Sun beats the Wings 93-68. And the Storm just gets by the Mystic, which is probably the best first-round matchup. Both teams with 22 wins, 86-83. So and I believe tonight we've got not till tomorrow, I guess, the second game of the games that were played last night. We talked about the Liberty upsetting the Sky and having a chance to maybe have a big upset here because if there's a deciding game 3. It's going to be in New York because of this weird playoff schedule that they got. That the best record gets the first 2 games at home, and then the final game would be played on the road at the worst team's facility. So very interesting possibilities here in the WNBA, which we'll follow pretty closely. What else we got? Pags, any NHL or?
Yes, there is. Real quick, the Flames, after the loss of Kachuk and Gaudreau, sign Kadri, who has been the last big name free agent, to a 7-year deal. They also get rid of Monahan to the Canadiens to get underneath the cap. The Canadiens also had other news that Carey Price is likely not to play at all this season due to a knee injury.
Yeah,
and that the NHL is going the way of the NFL, and they are moving the draft to Nashville. They're going to put the big stage back up again and do the draft in Nashville. When I went to the NFL draft, and there's going to be a lot of ladies that are going to be really unhappy because they are planning their bachelorette parties in Nashville, and we ruined it all with the NFL showing up there. It was the big talk of the town. Now the NHL is going to go there, and all of these bachelorettes are winding up not getting married now because all the hockey guys are going to steal them.
Oh, well.
You know how hockey guys are with the ladies.
Yeah,
we do.
Romeo.
Matt, anything you want to add before we wrap it up here? You bookend the week with us Monday and Friday. Great to have you back, as I said, at your own pace. And anything you want to add as we close out the show this morning?
Just, it's been great to be on with you guys again and on the show. And stay tuned in, guys, because this show just keeps on getting better and better.
Excellent. We're glad to have you back. Pags, thanks for another great week with you. Guys, we'll see you Monday morning, 6 a.m. with another episode of Start It Up to get you started and fill you in on everything that happened on the weekend. We'll see you later. Keith Engel for Mac McGrath and Jamie Paggs, the Philly sports guy. You've been watching Start It Up on Northeast Streaming Sports. We'll catch you later.